forward as well.
Oh,
So
awesome.
Thanks, Emma, for joining us.
You are so welcome, and thank you for having me. I'm really excited. This is my favourite workshop that I love to deliver. Can everyone see the slides there, or can you actually see my whole screen?
I can see your whole thing.
Whole screen.
My whole screen. Okay. Let's go to present mode, and hopefully I'm not a tech person, so...
Don't worry, neither am I, Emma.
And you're on a Mac, so if you just
Mac.
go to slideshow at the top.
Yeah.
Ah, there it is.
Yep.
Yeah. I knew
It's
it
only
was
because
somewhere.
we're all watching.
I know.
We can all do this together, ladies.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Emma Forionza, and I am definitely all about creating a life and business that you love. I'll share a little bit about my self-care journey in this workshop, and I think it's just important to be really raw and share a little bit of honesty because that's the whole part of the journey. And I guess when you find your area of genius and the area that you love to work in, it's really easy to talk about it when you've been through something yourself and you've been able to come out the other side and you have a solution, or you can help people with that problem that they're having in their life. So so let's talk. We're going to talk about self-care today, and like Rachel said, we were chatting and working out what can we do for the community, and I said, hey, I love to present my wellness self-care workshop, and I've done this many times in person, which I love because we get to use resources and tools, and we set a beautiful environment up, and I've done lots of retreat days with this workshop, but I've just condensed it down for today to be the mini version. So I can't wait to get back out in the world. I'm a hugger, so I'm like really, my kids are getting so many hugs right now and they're loving it and I'm loving it too. But I just can't wait to get back out there in the world and keep presenting and sharing the whole everything that I do around self-care. So when I think of self-care and when I'm chatting to women, when I'm chatting to women in business, when I'm chatting to mums who are entrepreneur, self-care comes up, and usually I hear a lot of things like, I don't have time for self-care. I don't even know what self-care is. I don't have time to go to the hair salon, blah, blah, blah. So there is a little bit of a buzzword around self-care. And I just really want to explain to you today what it actually is. And for me, what it is whatever it is for you. So everyone has their own way of filling up their own cup. And it's really important to find out what that is for you and explore it and start practicing and calling it a self-care practice like you would a meditation or a yoga or an exercise, because you'll never arrive at a self-care perfectness. And some days you'll drop the ball, some days you won't, some days you'll need it more than others, some weeks you'll need it more than others. But I really do feel, and I know for a fact for myself, when I fill up my cup first, even on the smallest minute thing of just the ritual of pouring myself a cuppa in the morning and sitting and having 5 minutes, that I can definitely give more and the better version of myself in my day. So that's what self-care is. And it's all about that tagline, I guess, of filling up your cup so that your cup is completely full, so then you can give the best out to the world. So if you want to relate it to a little bit like, and you've probably heard this before, being on an airplane. When are we ever going to get back on an airplane? I love to travel, but putting the mask on first, if there's an emergency, and then being able to help others. So it's just a really good visual to think of it that way. So it's time for reflection. It's time to think about, we're thrown into this world right now where we possibly are working from home. Maybe you already work from home, and then my 2 children are on the other side of my office door on their iPads, because we do what works, right? And so we're setting up rewards and things, and our whole environment and world is just completely changing very fast around us. And last week I was so conscious of creating self-care for me and the kids, and being gentle with our words, and setting some boundaries, and just, working towards getting a better balance. There'll never be a perfect one, but a better one. And so self-care really encompasses 3 things. It's your body, your mind, and your soul. And when we do the bigger workshop, I actually talk about 5 key elements. So there's your physical self-care, your lifestyle, your emotional and mental self-care, my favorite one to talk about, your spiritual self-care, and your people or support crew. So when you've got those 5 key elements and you know and are aware of them and what they are, we break them down, then yeah, it's a much simpler thing to be able to put together in your life. So who am I? I'm going to share a little bit about my story. So I've shared, I'm a mum of 2 kids. So I've got a 6 and an 8-year-old, a boy and a girl, very blessed, perfect pigeon pair, and married to the love of my life. It's nearly 11 years this year. I am a goal-setting self-care coach. I've been building a business specifically online for 6 years, but I've been in business with network marketing and direct sales, which was my background, since my early 20s. So that's what I was really immersed in pre-kids. And then once I had my second little one, I had a huge party plan business where I had over 500 women that I was coaching and mentoring and growing their businesses with them. We did overseas travel. We got free trips to Disneyland. Like, it was such a cool thing that we did, and it served a purpose at the time. However, I wasn't very good at setting boundaries, and through that journey, I had a complete and utter burnout, literally almost hospitalized. I was hospitalized for panic attacks. But my business mind never switched off. I was giving my everything to everyone all day, every day. And so hence my journey began to do better self-care and look after myself. So I'm just going to share a little bit more about my story now so you can kind of understand where and how I went wrong, I guess. Didn't know any different. But my past self-care belief was that it was the elaborate things that cost a lot of money, like going to the day spa, getting my hair done, having a weekend away, an exotic location, elaborate lunches with friends. It cost, basically, I hung a lot of, I'm going to use inverted brackets, hung a lot of things on it, in that it meant that I had to have a lot of my time, money and energy around doing self-care. And being in direct sales and network marketing, they actually teach you to set up rewards for yourself. So give yourself a reward to go to the day spa if you achieve X, Y, Z. So they kind of put some boundaries around those types of things. So, if you hit a certain rank, then spoil yourself and you get a day spa voucher or whatever it is. And so that's kind of what I thought self-care was. And I really believed at the time, as a young mum of 2 kids and running a huge business, international business, that I really didn't have the money, time or energy to take another thing on my plate, because that's the way I saw it. It wasn't practical for me to keep up with a consistent self-care practice. So with that belief in place and my super busy schedule, I did what I thought that I was best with my family, and I took on the role of captain of the ship and made sure that I was the one that dealt with everything. Bit of a control freak is my personality type. And so I did all the mothering, I did everything. I just took all the power away from everyone in my life, and I was not sleeping. Both my kids were horrific non-sleepers. And actually, to the point where I would be quite often sleeping on their floor, regular occurrence as a mother. They literally woke up every half-hour tag team between the 2 of them. So I cared for them when they were sick. We seemed to be always sick. And and so everything sort of came to a massive halt, like a T-point junction in my life, when my mum got really sick. She had a heart attack and ended up in Perth having a pacemaker. She's only a young mum too. So that just kind of threw us for 6. And then my son was starting school the very next week. And my husband went to basketball, played all of his life, played A-grade basketball, just went to practice and severely broke his leg in 2 places and ankle, like 90-degree snap, just complete accident. So I was thrown into this situation where I had to care for my husband on top of already doing all of the other stuff that I'd created in my life, all these hard things. And then my dad worked away. He was in the mining industry. And so I also had to care for my mum, who needed 24-hour care. And so with all of those extra things on my plate, oh, and then I was also just coming out of living with my mother-in-law for 2 years and building a house. So we'd moved into a new home. Epic, right? everything you're not supposed to do together, just all. And I saw the signs, like the universe was, you know, I was telling the universe what I wanted. Like it was completely my own silliness that I was creating here. And so we went to a trip to America after that sort of, that was 2017. So 2018, we'd earned a trip to go to America through my company, and so it was in February 2018, and we came home from that trip, amazing trip, but we were all utterly exhausted, and I was so ill with like I felt like the weight of the world was on my chest. I had chest infection, ear infection, the whole works. And I started getting these panic attacks, which I was hospitalized for, because I thought it was I'm having a heart attack and dying like my mother. And basically my body just completely started shutting down. I had extreme lower back pain and extreme fatigue. So it wasn't like when the kids would get up 20 million times through the night when they were younger. This was like I would wake up with fatigue. I would have fatigue all through the day. I would have fatigue in the afternoon. And so, and then when the kids went to bed, finally, and I had 5 minutes for myself, then I would get my second wind and I'd be awake until 2 o'clock in the morning. And then the whole messy cycle began again. It was just a relentless cycle. And so I went to the doctor, started going through that process of like, there's got to be something wrong with my body, had all the tests. I went to actually 3 different doctors over a few month period. I even had scans on my heart and machines that were hooked up to me for 24 hours. I had absolutely the works, and everything came back physically in my body. Everything was 100% fine. No low in iron, nothing hit on the radar. And it wasn't until I was chatting to a mum at swimming lessons one day, and I was sitting there with a coffee at 3:30 in the afternoon with my coffee in hand, and I knew she was a nurse, she was a midwife for my daughter. I live in a small town. We know everybody. And I said to her, she had 4 kids, how the hell do you do this? Seriously, you've got 4 kids, you work, you're a nurse, you do night shift, you have energy, like how? I'm done. I'm done with this. I can't, I'm so tired. I just want to close my eyes. And I started crying. And so she said to me, I think you need to go and see a friend of mine. She is a kinesiologist. And I'd actually never heard of what that was. Has anyone heard of kinesiologist before? Yeah, awesome. Okay, so this kind of opened up my whole world to this part of the world. And so there's a bit more to that story, but I ended up booking an appointment. I walked out of the swimming lessons, rang this lady. She rang me back that day and fitted me in the next day. And I'll never forget, I walked in with my business mindset and my notebook, and I sat down and I was like, filled out all the paperwork. She had a beautiful treatment room. It was in her house. So she was just sitting there nodding, listening to everything. And I was like, right, so how do we fix this fatigue? I'm here to fix it today. I'm ready to tick that off the box. I don't want it anymore. Can you energetically just clear it off and it'll be gone? And she was like, okay, let's work with you. Let's see what we've got. So she popped me on this beautiful table, started doing a treatment. She used a lot of essential oils on me. And she put her hand on my shoulder halfway through the treatment. And she said, love, I just want to ask you a question. How long have you been running on empty? And I'll never forget that moment, because I literally, a switch, and I get goosebumps every time I say this story, because a switch went off in my body and I literally started crying like a sobbing little 2-year-old that has lost her favorite toy. And I cried and I cried for 3 weeks. I could not stop the floodgates. And it was because I had suppressed a lot of other things, huge big story with all of that. And I needed to clear all of this and move forward. And I wasn't doing self-care. I was just looking after everyone else in my world. So she diagnosed me with extreme adrenal fatigue and depression. So I share this story because the more I've shared it, the more women and mums that I've shared it with, the more common adrenal stress and fatigue and depression is relevant. So many people are actually suffering with it. And I had never heard of adrenal fatigue, but it sent me on this huge big journey in the last 2 years to try and heal my adrenal fatigue. So therefore, I was thrown into this world of making sure that my lifestyle was healthier, that I was putting myself forward, and I started seeing little results, as my journey went along. So what are the 3 things that I actually started working on? First of all was definitely my diet and supplements. So I was a vegetarian and have been most of my life, so I was already taking supplements. However, I just felt like I was peeing them out, like my wee was just fluoro yellow. So I needed to get the right supplements for me, and I also needed to definitely address my diet, because I was literally eating the crust off the kids' sandwiches, a little bit of fruit snack here and there, and I literally lived on cheese and crackers, so not good. So I addressed my diet, my supplements. I definitely started talking about it with my friends, and I started a Facebook group called Creating a Life You Love. And I just started sharing my family's journey in there, and it just kind of grew from there, from using different things like energetically, products, essential oils, self-care things that I was trialing, going to retreats, being a part of retreats myself, and just supporting, I guess, and finding protocols that worked for me and then sharing them out in my community. And so, and then I also started asking friends and family and allowing them to have the power back to actually help me with the kids. Like, my kids hadn't had a sleepover with their grandparents because I was like, oh no, they can't have that pressure put on them. Like, I just can't believe the boundaries and stuff the mindset that I had in place. And then the third thing was that I definitely started looking at protocols and self-care rituals for me, and I'm really still obsessed about that learning and lifestyle. So living a healthy lifestyle for you definitely should not be a chore. So once again, coming back to those boundaries, don't set yourself up to fail in regards to diet and self-care rituals. It definitely should be guilt-free. If you want to have that chocolate, have it. Like, as long as you're doing 80% of the things, 80% of the things, how do I say it? 80% of the time should be the best version of what you're putting into your body. 20% enjoy it. Like, that's what I think. Guilt-free. And it should make you feel amazing when you're doing those things. It shouldn't make you feel guilty if you treat yourself, or you get off track. And it definitely should be a non-negotiable in your life, or you may end up completely at burnout phase like I was on the extreme. Good food, good quality food and supplements. So whatever your diet, lifestyle, whether you're a vegan, vegetarian, whatever you eat, whatever option you go for a good quality. I actually befriended a lady who was a raw food chef here in town because I wanted to learn more about that. Not that I was going to go full raw, but I was able to go along to some of her workshops and be her sous chef and do her dishes for her and just learn from her a different way of eating. And so we do have some raw recipes that we love as a family. So you don't have to go extreme. Just learn about what it is for you. Okay, self-care list. I'd like to call this like my menu of love, and I'll talk about that in a moment, just some things that I love. How are we going for time? I could chat and chat. Okay, I'll keep going pretty quickly. So how you wake up and start your day is how your day will run and end. So if you drag your ass out of bed in the morning, that's how your day is going to run and how it will end. Like, seriously, take check on how you start your day and how it runs and how you will end. Keep yourself a little diary or some little notes, and just keep a watch on it. Keep checking in. How you treat yourself is how others will treat you. If you set up those silly boundaries like I did, they will continue to treat you that way. So let people in, let them help you. Even more so now, we're stuck at home, that we can't have babysitting and all of those sorts of things. But there's other things that we can put in place where people can help. Maybe they've offered to drop off a food box or do your grocery shopping for you or whatever it is. Say yes, don't say no. And then everyone's self-care practice will look different. So definitely don't compare. I got stuck on the Instagram scroll, looking at these amazing Instagram, setups where people will be like starting their day with the most amazing yoga and the meditation practice. That's great, but it's not practical. Some of the time, yes, find those pockets in your day. Like yesterday, I literally just sat on the floor in my office where the sun shines in the morning on my yoga mat. I grabbed my essential oils, put them in the diffuser, grabbed a big glass of water, took that down and just sat in stillness for 2 minutes. And then I laid down with my hand on my heart like this, and my 6-year-old came in. She didn't say a thing to me. She just crawled on top of me, popped her head down on my chest and enjoyed the moment with me. Like that filled my cup up for the whole day, and I was the best version of me. So your self-care list, your list to happiness, your menu of love, whatever you want to call it, these are some of the things that I do. And I'm going to gift you all, just send me a PM. I've got my little worksheet that I hand out visually when we do this workshop. It's a 5-day to self-care discovery. So if you'd like that, just PM me. You'll find me on Facebook, Emma Forionza. And like Rachel said, she'll pop the details up. But there's a huge list in there of what you can do to start looking at options that really fill your day up. Your self-care, fill your cup up, I should say. So that's the self-care challenge. Decide to change your life if you haven't already adapted self-care, or maybe just work on it a bit more with your practice. Do your practical steps to take. You've got your free self-care workbook, and just show up for yourself. Like, we have time now. So show up for 10, 15 minutes even. That's all it takes. And it doesn't matter what time of the day. I'm sick of seeing these people that say that you have to do your self-care in the morning for like an hour and a half and get yourself all hoo-ha ready for the day. No, we're busy mums. We don't have the whole day. We might have 10 minutes. We might have like even just grabbing the tub out of the laundry, filling it up with water, chucking some things in there at nighttime and soaking your feet, while you're watching TV. Like, it doesn't have to be anything more elaborate than that. Whatever it is for you, make it work. So yes, that is the end. I hope you've enjoyed that. Sorry I rambled on with my story. I could share so much more, but if you'd like to continue to be a part of this wellness lifestyle and creating a life and a business you love, just reach out. I'm here to help. More than happy just to even have a chat with you. And yeah, if you need that little worksheet that you want to work through, just reach out as well. So thank you so much, Rachel. I've really loved chatting with you all today.
No, thank you, Emma, for inspiring me to actually create these little chat sessions. Yeah, and I absolutely agree. I know I do a lot of work with women where I want to empower them to be the best versions of themselves and to take, to get balance and to look after themselves and their families and their businesses. And it's a challenge, and it's definitely a challenge at the moment. Because we're being pulled and pushed in all sorts of different angles. So it's very nice. And I think that self-care, I did a yoga Pilates session on Sunday. My daughter's dance school are running them, and at the end they did a meditation. I think it's the first time I've stopped in a little while, and I just laid on the floor and cried.
Yeah.
It's like,
and that's another thing, let the emotions out.
Yeah.
And even if your kids see it, I think, they're going through so much too. And we do have to be more present for them. And as business owners, a friend of mine gave me some advice because I felt like I was really powerless. Like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do to help.
Yeah.
And she said, write a list of all the things that you can help. And actually talking about my self-care workshop was one of them.
Yep.
Because I am practical. I am real. I'm not about setting people up for failure. I just think it's raising awareness that it is important to do it. And even on a business level, I know that I have more energy and fired up in the day if, I've definitely given my best version of myself to myself first, and then I can give more to others. So
absolutely. Yeah. And I think we do need to, especially at the moment, we just need to find that little bit of time every day to do our self-care.
Yeah.
So thank you for joining. us. Thank you everyone for being on the call. It is now 12 o'clock. Next week I've got the amazing Lisa Ragoni coming to talk to us, and she is a mindset expert, and especially around kids. And I know that for us as mums, as much as we're worried about our own mindset, we're also quite worried about our children as well. And I know my daughter's been on this emotional roller coaster, and one minute she'll be happy and laughing, the next minute she's crying and the world's horrible and she just wants to go and catch up with her friends. So I know that we're also quite conscious about our own kids' mindset. So that is what we're going to be doing 11:30 next week. And yeah, for those who aren't in my Business Mums Lounge group, then go and find it on Facebook and jump into it. And Emma, yeah, you're welcome to post whatever you would like in there to help everyone else in that group as well.
Thank you.
So, thank you everybody for being here. I know that those who are in Rural Woman have got another call to run to, so I will see you all around in the great big wide world. Have a wonderful day. Thanks everyone.